Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today is More Than Conquerors.
I've been adopted in a royal priesthood. Come and help me sing in choir.
I serve the great I am. I'm more than a conqueror.
I've been adopted in a royal priesthood.
I'm more than a conqueror.
Oh, I'm more than a conqueror.
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 I'm more than a conqueror. I've got the shield of faith.
I got the shield of faith.
I've got the shield of faith.
I got the shield of faith.
I've got the shield of faith.
I got the shield of faith.
I've got the shield of faith.
I got the shield of faith.
I got the sword of the spirit.
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 And I'm fighting for my life.
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 And I'm fighting for my life. Greater is He that is in me.
Ooh.
The world I'm more than a
Greater is He.
that is in me.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I'm more than a conqueror. Greater is He that is in me. Than he that's in the world. I'm more than a
Greater is He.
that is in me. I'm more than a conqueror. Greater is He that is in me than he that's in the world. I'm more than a conqueror. Greater is He that is in me.
oracles of the UCI, starting at 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which Elohim giveth, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua, the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 through 32, through chapter 5, verse 1 through 4. Let no corrupt communications proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yeshua's sake hath forgiven you. Chapter 5, verse 1 through 4. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you, as becometh saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, or let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelation chapter 3, verse 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yahweh be praised for the breath of life and us being able to gather once again to be able to read out of this great legacy. You know, we've often heard it said that I'm but a servant. I'm on a need-to-know basis. And as you can see, the topic of the class, I didn't get the joke till Thursday night when I was putting my slides together. What I was basing the class on was, I've got an app on my phone. It's a news app. So I keep getting these dings every time something comes out. So I keep seeing this person murdered, this person killed, this person. So I'm constantly seeing that. So I put this together, high demonic presence. And I'm sitting there Thursday at the table and I'm doing slides. And I just stopped and I just started laughing. Because then I realized what tomorrow is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yo, you got jokes. But then as I'm sitting there, I remember what happened the last time Priest Esaac did one of these classes on All Hallows Eve. So I'm like, man, and then I realized, you know what? Had Yahweh not blocked that whole thing, then I probably would have tried to come up with something on my own. It's like, no, this is what I want you to do. it's now Thursday night, so now it's too late to change course. And that's when we have to understand you're on a need to know basis. Yeah, we'll send you somewhere and then you're looking up and there's this giant in front of you who's like, wait a minute, you want me to fight him? Yeah, I need you to fight him. Had I told you this ahead of time, you would have not had done the job. And for anyone that was here when Priest Esaac did the All Hallows Eve class, oh, we got a visit. So now understand when I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, the last time we did this, it wasn't good. No, it's too late to back out now. That's what I need you to take care of. And even with that, just the song that we just heard, greater is he that is in me than he that's in the world, speaks volumes for this time as well. It says, I'm fighting for my life. So with that said, let's go ahead and begin in Revelations chapter 12. We're going to read verse 7 through 17. Revelations chapter 12, verse 7 through 17. Also in the prayer, my brother Mishael made he in his supplication stated for Yahweh to allow us to be conscious of our steps and our deeds. That's also part of fighting for our life. Go ahead, my brother.
Verse 7, Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
So Satan has his own angels. This is in heaven. So why would we think that Satan does not also have followers here on earth? Volumes speaks when it says, so it is in heaven, let it be done on earth. We often only think of the good things. So if there's demonic angels up in heaven who are following Lucifer, what do you think is going on the earth? Go ahead.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and kingdom of our Elohim and the power of our Mashiach, of anointed one. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death.
Now, when we look at the end of verse 10, it says, which accused them before our Elohim day and night. Constant accusations going on. So we have to be conscious of our steps and our deeds, because they can't wait to go back and report. There's a daily report going on of what we do. Go ahead.
Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given two wings, and to the woman, were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent.
So what are we doing to put ourselves in this good graces with Yahweh so he can protect us? She didn't just get this protection just because. There has to be righteousness there. So are we doing what's necessary to be able to be afforded this protection when the time comes? Go ahead.
And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth, angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahshua, the Mashiach.
So can you imagine the level of anger as you're trying to get to one thing? He's already angry because he's being kicked out of heaven. So once that happens, because he knows this book better than us, he knows the story, he knows what's coming next. So he's already angry knowing he's got a short time. Now he's trying to kill the woman. He can't get to her because she's being protected. So the anger is building because we already know what? Pressure bust pipe. I'm kicked out. I can't get at her. So what's the next best thing? Let's go to the ones that's keeping the commandment. I don't have to worry about the rest of them. I already got them. So imagine what kind of anger is going to be coming at those who keep the commandment. This anger is built up. Go ahead.
That was it, verse 17. Yes.
All right, my brother. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 22. We're going to read verses 13 through 28. 1 Kings chapter 22, verses 13 through 28.
First Kings chapter 22 and verse 13. And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying, Behold now, the words of the prophets declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. And Micaiah said, As Yahweh liveth, what Yahweh saith unto me, that will I speak. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear? And he answered him, Go and prosper, for Yahweh shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, How many times shall I adjure thee that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of Yahweh? And he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills, as sheep that have not a shepherd. And Yahweh said, These have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil?
Now, you got to look at the king, right? The first thing Micaiah said to him was, Go and prosper. He already knew how Micaiah dealt. And what he say? Man, tell me what Yahweh really said. Now he really tells him. And did not tell you he wouldn't prophesy nothing good? What do you want? But will we have the courage to stand on what we know when we being told it, man? Everybody else doing it this way. Will we have the courage to stand when there's a greater man of letters or status than us and still be able to say, nah, this is what it is. I don't care about your position. Are we going to stand on what thus says Yahweh? That's where our salvation lies. Or do we just fold because this is what's popular? Go ahead.
Verse 20. And Yahweh said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said unto this manner, and another said unto that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before Yahweh and said, I will persuade him. And Yahweh said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Now therefore, behold, Yahweh hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and Yahweh hath spoken evil concerning thee.
Now, you got to consider this whole thing here. There are many different angels standing here trying to figure out what's the best way to deal with this situation. How do we execute this job? All of a sudden, one comes, I'll go. How are you going to do it? I'm going to lie. Oh, really? Go ahead. And you will prevail. Why? Because The king is already set on listening to lies anyway. It's not going to be hard. That's what he's accustomed to, everybody telling him what he wants to hear. But we also read earlier that Lucifer and his angels were kicked out of heaven. So who's the author of a lie? So who has stepped up? One of his angels. Go ahead.
Verse 24. But Zedekiah, the son of Kenana, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, Which way went the Spirit of Yahweh from me to speak unto you? And Micaiah said, Behold, thou shalt see in that day, when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself.
So what Kenaiah is saying, that I'm the man that Yahweh speaks to. Yahweh's Spirit speaks to me. How are you going to speak through you? How it go from me to you? As if he can retain the Spirit. He's already not one of Yahweh's servants in a righteous manner. But for some reason, he feels he can retain the Spirit of Yahweh. That it can't move on to somebody else. That's already an unrighteous thought process. Go ahead.
You know, if the Spirit was just dealing with a single person, then how would Yahweh gather us from the four corners of the earth? You know, there's different things, y'all as well got to realize. And, but, the consideration of some people, they're so full of pride. They don't see other things that can be done.
Right. Yeah, most people think that, hey, man, I'm the only person with disability.
Yeah. Verse 26. And the king of Israel said, Take Micaiah and carry him back unto Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, Thus saith the king, Put this fellow in the prison and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, If thou return at all in peace, Yahweh hath not spoken by me. And he said, Hearken, O people, every one of you.
Once again, hearken, listen, O Israel. Hear, O Israel. Which Yahshua says is the first commandment. Let's look at this same scenario in 2 Chronicles chapter 18, and we're going to read verse 12 through 27. Second Chronicles chapter 18, verses 12 through 27.
And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spake to him, saying, Behold, the words of the prophets declare good to the king with one assent.
So everybody's in agreement. Go ahead.
Let thy word, therefore, I pray thee, be like one of theirs.
So we need you to join them and be on the same playing field and say the same thing that everybody else says. Don't go against the grain now. This is the game plan. Stick with the game plan. Don't change the game plan. Go ahead.
And speak you good. And Micaiah said, As Yahweh liveth, even what my Elohim saith, that will I speak. And when he was come to the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And he said, Go ye up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand. And the king said to him, How many times shall I adjure thee that thou say nothing but the truth to me in the name of Yahweh?
How many times have I told you, just tell me the truth? But then when the man tell him the truth, he can't handle it. Go ahead.
Then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains, as sheep that have no shepherd. And Yahweh said, These have no master. Let them return therefore every man to his house in peace.
Now, let's look at the prophetic part of this right here. And Yahweh, he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. Isn't that where we're at right now? Mm-hmm. So we see how that prophecy was for that time and future. Go ahead.
And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good unto me, but evil?
So why call the man? If you done told everybody that this man ain't gonna speak nothing good, why are you gonna bring him in the mix of all of these people? Knowing he gonna go against what everybody else says. Who does it make look bad, him or them? I guess at that point it pits everybody else against him, right? Mm-hmm. But will we stand there when we're being pit against the crowd? Will we stand boldly and bravely on what we know? And still declare, thus says Yahweh. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Again, he said, therefore hear the word of Yahweh. I saw Yahweh sitting upon his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. And Yahweh said, who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spake, saying after this manner, and another saying after that manner. Then there came out a spirit and stood before Yahweh and said, I will entice him. And Yahweh said unto him, wherewith?
Now, you look at this. One said this, one said that. They reasoning this out. We trying to figure this out. Like I said before, they going back and forth. One comes up, I'll do it. Says, I'm going to entice him. What are we going to let ourselves be enticed with to throw us off? We have to look at those things that we love. What it says, a gift blinds a man. A gift blinds the heart. So we have to be careful and search ourselves to see what will it take for you to give up your salvation. He says, I will entice him. So that means it's going to be smooth. It's going to be something that is already favorable to you. And I'm going to entice him with it. Go ahead.
You know, that also shows you too, my brother, if no one considers the fact of this body that we have is able to be taken over, is by, different spirits that we read about. So if you don't, consider the fact of the places where you may go or end up with family and friends and be in a situation that you can get yourself, leave yourself open for that to happen, for an unclean spirit to enter you, then we got to consider the places where we go.
It's more than that, but we'll get there. Go ahead, my brother.
I don't know if they turn this on.
Mike, audience mic, is it on?
You have to consider what then is the relationship between Yahweh and the other angels once the one spirit shows himself to be a lion spirit. Do you at that point, do they, pretend, because this person has now shown themselves, right. Like you were saying before, one is saying after this manner, one is saying after that manner, they're reasoning together. The first thing that comes out of this spirit mouth is I'm a lie. So that's some people's way out of getting out of everything, is their first thing that comes out of their mouth is a lie. This is why, Elder used to say, people by working with them.
Right.
So a situation come up and then you watch how fast people lie to get themselves out of it. So then you have to look at, how do the other angels deal with the lion spirit? When there's division caused in our realm, when we see that this is someone's first thing, soon as something come up, that they lie to get out of whatever situation, then we have to consider, they may be sitting in the sanctuary with us, but are they really with us?
Right. You know, we also have to look at that since you brought that up. What it said, there was war in heaven. And so is this where everything starts brewing? Or has it been brewing before this? You know, so it's like you said, how does the other angels, hey, they might be watching, keeping a track of all of this until it's time for the war to break out. Like you said, hey, let the wheat and tare grow together until the day of harvest. You always have them do the same thing. Go ahead.
2 Chronicles chapter 18 and verse 21. And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And Yahweh said, thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do even so. Now therefore, behold, Yahweh hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these your prophets, and Yahweh hath spoken evil against you. Then Zedekiah the son of Kenaniah came near and smote Micaiah upon the cheek, and said, which way went the spirit of Yahweh from me to speak unto you?
That's enough, my brother. Let's go ahead to Genesis chapter 3.
All right.
Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13. Let's take a look at the first instance of this lying spirit.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yes, as Elohim said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden.
Now you look at subtlety, his movement, quick, even up to this day. A serpent would just strike you. His movements is quick. Like my brother was talking about earlier, some people that we around, hey man, you gotta pay attention to them quick talkers. Them quick talkers. Sometimes you gotta say, hey, slow down. Slow down. Because they'll throw something out there, it's truth, boom, it mix you up, and you ain't paying attention because you focused on this. Yeah. Subtle. In an instant. Up to this day, the serpent is still the most subtle animal. It's quick. Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim had said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For Elohim doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Now, look at the graphic up there. Look into my eyes. Okay? You looking in these eyes. And it's talking to you. We can see that there's something different about this animal altogether. It's slick in its appearance, all the way over, all the way around. So how can it, you see how it could be enticing? So this is what we also got to look forward to and look at when we get them slick people standing in front of us. Because at the end of the day, it says Lucifer is the most beautiful angel. But then it says the opposite about Yahshua, that he's not a handsome brother. And where do we fall? We all seem to fall when it comes to good looks. Old raggedy broken down person can't say nothing to us. But hey, the Dapper Don can tell us anything. Hey man, the slickness started with the serpent. Go ahead.
And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her,
Now,
and he did eat.
in verse 6 it says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, we don't know how long it took to convince her. We assume that this is just a back-to-back conversation, boom, 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 and it says no, and when. This could be a period of minutes of him going at her, or this could be hours. But what happened? She stood there long enough to be convinced. She watched it long enough to be convinced. Go ahead.
And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And the Adonai Yah called unto Adam and said unto him, where are you?
Now, we always talk about the role of the man, the role of a husband. You see who Yahweh called first? He called Adam. Don't think that Yahweh don't already know what has gone on. But you, the man, you the head of the household, he called Adam. Go ahead.
And he said, verse 10, and he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself.
And this is what we do when we become spiritually naked. We hide ourselves. We separate ourselves from Yahweh. Yahweh came to them. Yahweh is looking for them. But they are hiding from him. It's not the other way around. Yahweh is not hiding from them. They're hiding from him. So they removed themselves. They separated themselves. Go ahead.
And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
And here's new knowledge. That we, as family members, brothers and sisters, when you hear something new, you should question it. Hey, who told you that? Where are you getting that from? But a lot of times you won't figure it out for a long time because it's the same thing. People will hide themselves, remove themselves. Man, we ain't seen you in about 7 Sabbaths. Where you been? And then all of a sudden something come out and you be like, where you get that from? Go ahead.
And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat.
The serpent beguiled me. The serpent tricked me. The serpent enticed me. But at that point, who is she now serving? Once he beguiled her, who then becomes her master? Who then becomes her El? The person that you listen to. Is that going to be our excuse? This TV show beguiled me. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 8. We're going to read verses 31 through 47. Yohanan, that's John chapter 8. Turn on the audience mic, please.
You know, when you look at how a serpent moves, When you're looking at a person move, you can see their legs moving. You know that they're covering ground. The serpent is so slick, it doesn't have any legs. So it's automatically a freaky thing. And how something moves, it doesn't have legs. But if you are not paying complete attention to it, you can glance off to the left and you look back to the right, and this thing is 4 feet closer to you than it was before. But you never saw it move. This thing is moving. It is so subtle. It is so slick that you don't see it moving. And you try to explain to people that, hey, you hanging out with a snake.
Right.
No. This person's cool. You hadn't learned how a snake moves. You can't see a snake move unless you pay complete attention. You look off for 1 second, that snake is way closer than you, and you ain't seen no legs move. And I mean, it'll throw you off how fast a snake is. People don't understand how fast a snake is. You glance off to the left, you look back, and this thing is right at your ankle. It was 20 feet away.
Yep.
And that's the thing about dealing with slick individuals. Sometimes we get accustomed to things and we really don't understand just how fast that slickness can run up on you.
But the problem is nobody can't tell us nothing. You know, we think we know it all. Hey man, even in my age, I don't know everything. And I can never and will never proclaim to know everything. We all have to be like little children, capable of being able to be taught new things, capable of being chastised, corrected. And even with what Priest Esaac is talking about with the subtle, quick movement of a snake, there's also a slow movement of a snake too. And you're not watching him. And he just moving. And you don't see it. All of a sudden, what?
Yeah.
Why? Because when you looked, you thought he was still in the same place. You didn't realize that the head done inched up a little bit more. You know, I heard a story once, and I don't know if it's true. You know, someone who owned a snake. The lady had a snake. She used to keep the snake in her bed, according to the story. Said she went to the vet and said, something's wrong with the snake. It's like, what? He lays in the bed straight. He's stretched out. He don't curl up in the bed anymore. The vet told her, hey, you need to get rid of the snake right away. She said, why? He said, he's sizing you up to eat you. So what he doing? He laying there stretching himself. My tallest. Will she fit inside of me? Okay, I just need to grow a little bit more. You mine. All right, my brother, go ahead.
John chapter 8 and verse 31. Then said Yeshua to those Yehudis which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and we're never in bondage to any man. How sayest you, ye shall be made free? Yeshua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my Father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yeshua saith unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now you seek to kill me, a man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham.
So now you got to look at this whole thing, right? He says, I know that you're Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you, right? I speak that which I have seen with my father. And you do that which you have seen with your father. But yet they jump straight to talk about Abraham. Abraham is our father. You haven't seen the deeds of Abraham. So obviously he's not talking about Abraham. He said, you do what you've seen of your fathers. So what kind of examples do we have in front of us? Whose deeds are we following? Go ahead.
Verse 41. Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Elohim. Yeshua said unto them, if Elohim were your father, ye would love me. For I proceed forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it.
So when we look back now to the serpent in the garden, we see where this first lie comes from. Right? But he says in verse 44, you are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. So what is Lucifer lusting after? Remember what he said to Yeshua. All this is mine. It's been given to me. Just bow down and serve me. Or bow down and worship me, pardon me. What is he showing? The money, the cities, the things of this world. So then we got to search ourselves as well to see what we lust after. Because whatever you lust after is what you can be enticed with. Go ahead.
And because I tell you the truth, ye believe me not. Which of you convinceth me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim heareth Elohim's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of Elohim.
So let this good word be what we lust after. Let's go to Mark chapter 7. That's Mark chapter 7. And we're going to read verse 24 through 30. You know, when we were out in the world, let's all be honest. Cars, women, money, houses, fame, and for the women, men. But that's what this society raised us up to believe that was making it. We didn't even understand anything about, we all think lust is something of the physical nature. We don't stop and think about spiritual lust. We just think it's, man, you looking at bodies and man, you can lust after a car. I read the story recently where the brother was shot because he said something to somebody who was leaning on his sports car. Man killed him. Hey, my cousin once told me, have you ever seen a car wrapped up in a white sheet? Hey man, cars can be replaced. But see, that's also a level of vanity. I have never seen a car wrapped up in a white sheet. But that car will continue to roll and somebody else will have that car, but he's gone. Why? Because somebody was leaning on his car. We've heard the story, somebody stepped on my sneaker.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, my brother.
Mark chapter 7 and verse 24 to verse 30. And from thence he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Sidon and entered into a house and would have no man know it, but he could not be hid. For a certain woman whose younger daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, a Syro-Phoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. But Yeshua said unto her, Let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it unto the dogs.
Now, when we look at this story here, this story is in another book, right? But then look at what it breaks down of this woman. It says for a certain woman. Then it says the woman was a Greek, a Syro-Phoenician by nation. So what does that mean? She was born in Greece. Or was she a Grecian? No, her nationality is of the Syro-Phoenicians. So because you born in America, does that make you an American? Because you born in Jamaica, does that make you a Jamaican? We got to start understanding the difference between citizenship and nationality. Yet we hold dear to terminologies like African American. Mm-hmm. Or I'm Jamaican. Go ahead.
And she answered and said unto him, Yes, Adonai, yet the dogs are under the table eat of the children's crumbs.
Humbleness. It was humble enough for her, being of another nation, to even go to him. How your people look at you? What you going to that Hebrew for? I heard you was begging the Hebrew. Now, do you let that give you low self-esteem? Even the book tells us what it says. They will grab hold of the skirt of him that is a Yehudi. Mm-hmm. That means you're going to have to humble yourself. Because we heard that Yahweh's with you. That lady said, no. Healing's over there. I'm going over there. Go ahead.
You know, my brother, from the beginning, Yahweh had said to Abraham, even our forefathers, Esaac and Jacob, he says, you know, by your seed shall the nations of the earth be blessed. So who else would you look forward to as a nation of people to go to get the information that you need, that you can be blessed?
I mean, when you really look at it, the sad thing is, the leaders of the nations don't want to be blessed. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing we can say. Because the leaders of the nations are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
But if it's already been said that these are the only people that you can be blessed through, you obviously don't want no blessings if you're trying to kill them off. Or do you think finances is blessing? Okay. Go ahead.
You know, too, my brother, you know, it is written that the blind leads the blind and both shall fall into the ditch. And we usually look at that as those that have the Sunday church, not also considering that even Lucifer himself is blind.
Oh, yeah.
And he has blindly led those that are in power.
But you've got to ask, what is blinding Lucifer? It's not that he doesn't know the book. It's not that he doesn't know the creation story. What's blinding him? lust. What he's lusting after is what's blinding him. We also have to be careful. You think about the whole thing of putting dangling the carrot in front of the donkey. Okay. Go ahead.
Mark chapter 7 and verse 29. And he said unto her, for this saying, go thy way, the devil is gone out of thy daughter. And when she was come to her house, she found the devil gone out and her daughter laid upon the bed.
Now, how in this day and age do we know when a devil is in someone? Are we paying attention? Are we paying attention to when them character traits change and this person is not acting as themselves? Are we ready to face it, or do we just step aside and let it run its course? But even when you decide to step up, make sure you that strong man, at least you get overcome by the same spirit. We in this little building say one thing: people leave, but spirits don't. Because what? We see it time and time again where this person was acting up, this person get put out, somebody else come along, we start drawing the lines, connecting the dots. Wait a minute, they acting just like that person. And sometimes it's amazingly funny how the people will have the same spiritual gifts. So is that spirit conducive to a certain type of person? The body makeup might not be the same, but then we realize, wait a minute, they got that same gift that this person had too. And that just doesn't go for the sanctuary. We might not believe it, but even in certain houses, you buying a house, do the research and the history of the house. We see these movies and think it's funny. Do the history and research of the house. Because as I'm doing this class, I'm looking at the house across the street from me and I'm saying, I probably need to go talk to the brother that's in there now. Because the people that were in it before, when they left, divorce and separation. The people that came in after them left, divorce and separation. Right? I'm looking at my house. The people who used to have my house had a home-based business. What do I have? A home-based business. I need to research some more stuff about them other people though. So far I know that they left and they bought another house, okay? There was no separation, but man, we really have to understand that things are not always what they seem. But we have to open our eyes and pay attention to when our brothers, sisters, friends, loved ones start to change. Go ahead.
That was it, my brother.
Okay. That was Mark chapter 7.
Yeah.
Let's go to Matthew chapter 9. Because it's funny, there's some things that happen with people and we just say, hey, that's just how that person was born. That's just how that person is. But let's look at a few other things. Matthew chapter 9, we're going to read verses 32 through 34.
As they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man possessed with a devil. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb spake, and the multitudes marveled, saying, it was never so seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, he cast out the devils through the prince of the devils.
Now, we come across people who are dumb, deaf mute, and we got to start really considering. Has something grabbed the hold of that person from birth? Because now we're talking about a demon rendered this man mute. Now we got people that come around us and, hey, people go through things. Hey man, there's things about kids who have traumatic experiences and then they just stop talking. What spirit took them over during that traumatic experience? Because if it's a violent traumatic experience, there was a spirit in the midst of that violence. So now, this unprotected child may have been the most conducive thing to get into after the deed was done. Because if he's in the body of somebody who's gets killed, I need somewhere else to go. Years later, we see what? Same person, after they've experienced certain things, now they're doing it. So then we got to wonder how them spirits are just moving around. Let's go to Mark chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 14 through 29. Mark chapter 9, and start that at verse 14.
And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about them, and the scribes questioning with them. And straightway all the people, when they beheld him, were greatly amazed, and running to him saluted him. And when he asked the scribes, What question ye with them? And the one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto you my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him. He foameth and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. I spake to your disciples that they should cast him out, and they couldn't.
Now, the man said, I have brought unto you my son, which has a dumb spirit. Not that my son is dumb, and I want him to talk. No, he's got a dumb spirit. These people were paying attention. But even the words about our mouth can set a spiritual mindset in people. Watch people. Pay attention. And you can see when the change happens. Hey, pay attention to yourself. Go ahead.
Verse 19. He answereth him and saith, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me.
Now, even on this one, Priest Esaac touched on this, because remember he says, I spake to your disciples and they could not cast him out. I spoke to them and to cast him out, they could not. And then Yahshua turns around and says, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? He was their crutch. He was their crutch. As long as he's there, that's what he's saying. How long will I be with you? As long as I'm here, y'all ain't gonna try to do nothing more beyond what you think you can do. Because you know I'm here. So it's easy for you to say, man, Yahshua will take care of it. Hey, most of us who came up on the elder, We were there. He was our crutch. He was our crutch. We have no plans to do nothing more than sit in the seat and keep learning from Sabbath to Sabbath, from Bible study to Bible study, and ask the old man. But we had the thought process that Dave got, that he was always going to be there. That's why I've said it before. We're all sitting in this room for a reason, and it ain't just to be seat dwellers. People have got to understand Priest Esaac is not the only one that can get behind here and keep this going. I'm not the only one that can keep this going. Brother Eliel is not the only one that can keep this going. Elder used to say, what Elder told Priest Esaac, I teach priests. Every one of you sitting out in this room, whether in this room or on the internet, if you are paying attention, if you're doing your due diligence, we are to become a kingdom of priests. So none of us should be your crutch. Ask the questions that you have now. Some people got the opportunity to really bend Elder's ear. I wasn't one of those. I won't let it happen again. And because I won't let it happen again, that's the reason why I was able to sit here while our brother was resting and recovering. Eliel was able to do the same. Go ahead.
And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, Of a child. And oftentimes it hath cast him into the fire, and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Yeshua said unto him, If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Adonai, I believe, help you mine unbelief.
Now, verse 21, he asked the question, how long is it ago since this came on to him? And he said, from a child. From a child, he's been dealing with this. Both of them are dealing with this. Because it tears the child. And then you got the father who's dealing with this. I don't know where the mother's at. But this man has enough spiritual aptitude to know that this is a demon. Watch your children. Hey, sometimes it's necessary to pull out the rod to drive that demon out of them. Because the longer you let them actions go on, you got a hell of a fight on your hand. Mm-hmm. Hey man, your kids are in school amongst other kids and amongst teachers and whatever. You don't know what's being fed to them. Mm-hmm. But when you see that demon, hey, best to drive it out right away. At least it run all around your house and tear it up. And go in other people's house and tear it up. You know, it's funny to see people come and their kids acting a fool and then they looking at you like, well, he don't believe like this. Yeah, sure he don't. Hey man, if you don't take care of it at home, it's going to embarrass you out in public. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Adonai, I believe, help you mine unbelief. When Yeshua saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, You dumb and deaf spirit, I charge you, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried, and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Yeshua took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose.
So that means when the demon came out, it took all his strength. That means this thing from a child, he's in full control. He's in full control. But let's also let's go back to the Father. Help you mine unbelief. How many of us are strong enough to say out of our own mouth, I need help with my unbelief? How many of us can acknowledge that? Or do we just smile and pretend like everything is okay and put on a face? Hey man, you're going to have to confess it out your own mouth. Go ahead.
And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting.
And then with that, how often do we pray and fast? When situation and circumstances come up, not just about us, but about our family members, about our brothers and sisters. Let's go to Matthew chapter 17. This was the little child, and Yahshua said, Come out of him, you dumb and deaf spirit. The father said he was dumb. Matthew chapter 17, and let's start that at verse 14. We're going to read 14 through 21.
And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him and saying, Adonai, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic.
Now, this is what I keep saying. How do we see other people and we just say, oh, that's just that person? Do we ever consider that that person might be entertaining a spirit? He's a lunatic. Go ahead.
And sore vexed, for oftentimes he falleth into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Yeshua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me.
And I also want you to understand, what we read in Mark was his version of the story. What we're reading in Matthew is his version of the story. One said his father said he had a dumb spirit. This other one said he's a lunatic. Hey. Every man add their own thing in when they telling the story, right? Go ahead.
And Yeshua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour.
What did Yeshua rebuke? The devil. Go ahead.
Then came the disciples to Yeshua apart, and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Yeshua said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting.
All right. You know, I don't know how many people understand what's going on. I've got like I said, an app that sends me all this stuff of murders in the Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what prompted this class. As I'm seeing this stuff come along, I'm like, all this stuff is going on. But then as you get to putting a class together and you start being guided in certain directions, you start looking at certain things. How many people knew that Atlanta was the number one in most increases in homicide? How many of us knew that? We are number one across the country in the most increases in homicide. With that said, the department's most recent crime data, set from the week ending of August 14, shows the city's murders are beating last year's record pace. Atlanta has seen an 8% increase in murders from 2020. 4 of the Atlanta Police Department's 6 policing zones reported increases in murders year over year. Sunday marks the 34th week of 2021, the fastest the Atlanta Police Department has reported 100 annual murders in at least the past decade. Data from the Atlanta Police Department dates back to 2010, when there were 54 reported murders in the city by week 34. Atlanta police reported 92 murders by this week last year. It wasn't until week 40 in 2020 when APD data shows police reached 102 reported murders. There were 154 reported murders last year. This will be the 3rd time Atlanta police have reported more than 100 total murders in at least 1 decade. You know, I was talking to one of the brothers also last night, and I was asking him about the murder that took place in Piedmont Park. He said he knew nothing about it. There was a murder that took place in Piedmont Park back on July 28th. And at the same token, or the same time that that murder took place, there was also a murder in one of the parks, another park in Gwinnett County. The lady in the Piedmont Park, she went for a jog with her dog. When they found her, her neck was cut to the bone. She was stabbed several times, and the dog was stabbed. By 6 a.m. that morning, they found another body in Yellow River Park. This young lady was shot to death. Now, just this month alone, October 20th, says, those who knew Courtney Cox say she began dating her alleged killer, Jarvis Jarrett, over the summer. The lawyer apparently met Jarrett at Atlantic House, where she was found dead. This is the apartment complex that they both live in. She met him at the apartment complex. She's a lawyer. She was a lawyer. Okay? It says, during one of the 911 calls, the caller says, I heard him say, I killed that bee. I can still hear him screaming. Callers reported hearing several shots coming from the apartment building and described seeing a man jumping on the balconies. And I'm reading this, I'm seeing a movie scene. Mm-hmm. Who in their right mind kills somebody who's out there yelling, I killed that bee? That just does not sound like something normal. That does not sound like somebody in their right mind. And then you jumping from balcony to balcony? And most times you kill somebody, you ain't got nothing to say about it. But you out there yelling, I killed that bee? Something was definitely wrong. Now the next one, it's all in October again, October 10th. Catherine Kahn, 28, died after being thrown or pushed from a Lamborghini at the intersection of Piedmont and Peachtree Roads. The following week, Alfred McBulba, 31, surrendered and was charged with murder. I watched a video where they videoed them in a heated conversation before he drove off. She was outside the car. How'd she end up in the car? How'd she end up down the road to be thrown out the Lamborghini? I don't know if anybody's really looked at a Lamborghini. The space is confined. It's hard to really push somebody out of a Lamborghini. His lawyer is now saying that she fell or jumped out the car. That's all fine and dandy had you stayed at the scene. You driving a Lamborghini. Where's your mind at? Had you stayed at the scene, you probably could have said she jumped out the car. You drove away and came back a week later? Makes no sense. We got to pay attention. There's things going on that don't make any sense. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but in a flashy whip, come on, man. How you think you're going to get away? Common sense reasoning went out the door. But there's more to this. That's just the October. I looked at many more. You just do some research and see just all the madness and craziness that's going on that makes no sense at all. Let's go to James chapter 4. Jacob chapter 4. See, a lot of times we just caught up in our daily routine that we just don't understand what kind of madness and craziness is going on right around us. That's just the city of Atlanta alone. Mm-hmm. That doesn't account for the other cities around. James chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even of your lusts that war in your members? Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts.
Now, when you ask amiss, you just haphazardly asking. You ain't really asking for what you want. You're not really stating what it is you want. But what he said, where do wars come from? From your lust. Man's lust is what's causing all these wars. Lucifer's lust is what's going to cause this war in heaven. And then Lucifer is now putting his lustful desires on us. Go ahead.
Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with Elohim? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy of Elohim.
What is the friend of the world? When you become a friend of the world, you're trying to please everybody. How are you going to please everybody? What's going to happen to you? You really try pleasing everybody and see if it does not eat at you at some point. Because you're going to be torn, twisted, pushed, pulled, dragged in all different directions if you're trying to please the world. Then what happens to you as an individual? What do you stand for? What are you about? How do people see you if you swaying left, right, front, back, up, down? What does it say about an unstable, a double-minded man? He's unstable in all his ways. Not some, all. Go ahead.
Do you think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth not to envy? But he giveth
lust is to envy.
Lust is to envy, but he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, Elohim resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves therefore to Elohim, resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
And this is the hardest thing for people, submitting themselves to Elohim, because you want to find faults with everything. I can't believe he wants us to do this. But then you don't say it about Yahweh. You'll say it about the man who's reading the book of what thus says Yah. That's your own interpretation. No, I'm reading it as it is. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. How's that my interpretation? But then you get interpretations when you get like the little lady that bucked into prison when she said, you don't mean all lies, do you? No, it says all liars have their part that burns in the lake of fire. What about your white lies? It still ends with lie, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Draw near to Elohim, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Be afflicted, and mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of Yahweh, of the Adonai, and he shall lift you up. Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother, and judgeth his brother, speaketh evil of the law, and judgeth the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver, who is able to save and to destroy. Who are you? Who are you that judgest another?
All right, let's go to Mark chapter 5. Mark chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 1 through 20.
And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains.
So here it is. He's got an unclean spirit, so he's the walking dead, and where he sleeps, where the physical dead. He's spiritually dead, and he resides with the dead. Go ahead.
Because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him.
Now, even when I read this again and looked at this situation, you got to understand spirits coming out of stuff that we may put into our bodies. Because I've heard of stories about people being on drugs and doing these same types of things. So what spirit has taken them over once they get on these drugs?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Mark chapter 5 and verse 5. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Yeshua afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Yeshua, you son of the Most High Elohim? I adjure you by Elohim, that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, you unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is your name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many.
How do you get to the point that you have many demons inside of you? Many. But what does the scripture say? A house is cleaned. That spirit leaves that house, wanders, comes back and finds that house clean. And he does what? brings more spirits with him, even wickeder than he. Be careful what we go around after we are cleaned up. What we deal with after we become clean. And even what we deal with during the cleaning process. Go ahead.
And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country.
So these spirits, legions, don't want to leave that area. See what I was saying earlier? Houses can carry spirits that are lingering. Buildings can carry spirits that are lingering, waiting for that next host. Here they are begging the Adonai not to cast them out of that country. Hey man, we like this place. We like this area. We don't want to leave. Go ahead.
Now there was there near unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them.
Now, what if it's a little puppy that you picked up from somewhere? What if it's a kitty cat you got from somebody? And the demon has already said, send me into the kitty cat. Now he's in your house. Just waiting for that right person in the house to say, let me go in that. Go ahead.
And forthwith Yeshua gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea.
Now, even in this, they ran violently. They ran violently down to the sea. So what would happen if anybody's in the way? You're getting trampled. And that's all we've seen is everybody running violently nowadays. You ever stop and just watch people while you're driving? Everybody's running violently. So hence we are in a time of high demonic presence. Not just because of what they got coming up, or because Lucifer knows he has but a short time. With every day, with every second, with every hour, just like us as human beings. With every passing hour, we're aging. Go ahead.
Mark chapter 5 and verse 14. And they that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. And they come to Yeshua and see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion sitting and clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And they that saw it told them how it befell to him that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine.
Now it's funny that you're afraid of the man because he in his right mind. How did they deal with him before? When he was hanging out in the tombs and doing all this other stuff. But now he's in his right mind and they're afraid of him. Go ahead.
And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast. And when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Howbeit, Yeshua suffered him not, but saith unto him, Go home to your friends, and tell them how great things the Adonai hath done for you, and hath had compassion on you.
Now, this is the same thing we need to do. Look back at your life. Look at where you were. Look at where you at now. And go home and tell all them people the great things that the Adonai has done for you. Because we were once there. But we still fighting that fight every day. Go ahead.
And he departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Yeshua had done for him, and all men did marvel.
All right, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 11. So we have the same job to go ahead and publish what great things the Adonai has done for us. But he only did it in Decapolis. We've got the internet. I'm sure a lot of y'all have all kinds of Facebooks and LinkedIn and the this and the that and all them other stuff. Hey, you got many sources and outlets that you can go beyond the cab and publish what great things the Adonai has done for you. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, we're going to read verses 1 through 15.
Would to Elohim you could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to the Mashiach. But I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in the Mashiach.
The simplicity that is in the Mashiach, the simplicity that's in this book. But yet we find people always looking for some mystical thing. It is simple. Why complicate it? But as we are trying to look for something else, trying to be greater than thou, greater than the person who taught you, and you don't realize that you're on the road to error. You're down the road to destruction because you can't accept that it could be just this simple. That's all it is. Simplicity. Mm-hmm. He says, by any means you be beguiled. As we keep searching for something new, looking for something new. You don't know when and how you got beguiled. You go back around the same people that came out of the same place as you, and they looking at you strange. Man, where you get that from? But we always looking for something new. Itching ears. I done found something that Sock didn't know. Elder didn't teach us this, boy. Elder didn't know nothing about this. Okay. Keep thinking so. Sometimes it's that they saw it and decide, let me stay the hell away from this. Mm-hmm. At least I get myself in trouble. Or we always trying to twist something and figure a loophole and some way to get around it. Okay. That might be that key that unlocks your door to the lake of fire. Go ahead, my brother.
2 Corinthians chapter 11 in verse 4. For if he that cometh preaches another Yeshua, whom we have not preached, or if ye receive another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye might well bear with him. For I suppose I was not a whit behind the very chiefest apostles. But though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge, but we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. Have I committed an offense in abasing myself that ye might be exalted? Because I have preached to you the gospel of Elohim freely? I robbed other churches, taking wages of them, to do you service. And when I was present with you, and when I was present with you and wanted, I was chargeable to no man. For that which was lacking to me, the brethren which came from Macedonia supplied. And in all things I have kept myself from being burdensome unto you, and so will I keep myself. As the truth of the Mashiach is in me, no man shall stop me of this boasting in the regions of Achaia. Wherefore, because I love you not, Elohim knoweth. But what I do, that I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory, they may be found even as we. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of the Mashiach. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
Now, with the graphic that's up right now, I want everybody to look at this brother. And if you can see what it says Excellency Kevin Smith. Below it says, His Excellency Dr. Kevin Smith is Jamaica's eminent international ambassador, Israel God, King. And at the bottom it says 999. Turn that around, what is it? 666. Okay? He got all these titles. Go to the next slide for me. This is behind his altar. Those are the colors behind his altar, okay? We all know what them colors represent. So when you see them colors, then this next picture should be no surprise. The next graphic, please. Okay? He already told you what he was about. It said he had 3 young boys living with him. And for anybody who don't know the story, this is a preacher in Jamaica who just led to another cult murderer. Okay? This just happened in Jamaica. Let's go to the next graphic. This is the scene from inside the church. Okay? Sunday, this is the story behind it. Sunday's alleged sacrifice of 2 persons inside the Montego Bay-based Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries Church is a disgrace and humiliation upon the nation, according to Reuben Williams, a St. Thomas-based Obia man, voodoo man. So the voodoo man is saying that this is a disgrace. Okay? This is coming from the voodoo man. All right? The voodoo man said the alleged rituals conducted by the church reminded him of witchcraft. Okay? The voodoo man said it reminded him of witchcraft. What we see here is 2 men dead, another one injured, and a lady's throat was cut. This man sent out messages telling them to show up at the church. The ark is coming. Get ready to get on board. When he sent the message out, though, he sent certain things. Don't bring your cell phones. Leave your cell phones behind. When do we wake up? It is said there was supposed to be 144 people dead. So just like he took the 666 and turned it into 999, he took the 144,000 and cut it down to 144.
Each one represents 1,000. You know, 1,000 legions.
But it goes to show that our people have a zeal for Elohim, but not of knowledge.
No.
Why you get those poor countries where people can hardly read? Therefore, they don't get the same opportunities that we get. So it's easy to come in and lead them astray. Our people have a zeal for Elohim, but not according to knowledge, because knowledge should have said, hey, you talking about the ark? Get the hell away from me. Bro, are you Noah? What you mean the ark is coming? Bro, this is one time I'm going to say, miss me with that. Sail on by me. Because, hey, y'all ain't tell me no ark going to be coming in these last days. Let me continue. It is a disgrace and an evil take of human life. He, the pastor, tries to convince people he is a god, but he's just full of trickeries, he said. The church's head, Dr. Kevin O. Smith, and members of his congregation were arrested on Sunday night following the incident. They have been charged under the Disaster Risk Management Act, but lawmen have hinted that other charges are possible. Another person was shot and killed in the incident after he reportedly attacked the police who were called to the scene. 3 other persons were taken to the hospital for treatment. And as this went on, I also heard that one of the policemen had to be removed from the case because he was also a member of the church. Williams said he's convinced leaders of the church were trying to create their own cult and not following the orders that govern the religious group. They shouldn't have killed the woman and the man because the spirits usually require virgins. Okay, so the voodoo man is telling you how this is supposed to be done. In case you don't know. Usually, if the spirits, require an animal, you cannot give them a human instead. It's a waste of life. It's a cruel act, he said. Williams suggested that the church members had been brainwashed by Smith, who he believes preyed on the poor. There are times when those so-called pastors will go to the house of the poor and give them food and trick them that they will think the pastor is God sent. But they're merely working with the devil, he said, adding that the church leader lost focus. What are you lusting after? Lucifer is lusting to sit in Yahweh's seat. So now if this man is presenting him to be a god, what is he lusting after? He's fulfilling the lust of his father, the devil. And the deeds of your father you will do. When you're in this type of world, you have to be smart because you will think you are high and mighty. He lost focus and believed he was a god, Williams said. A laptop from a senior member of Pathways International Kingdom Restoration Ministries in Montego Bay, which contains details of a plot to kill 144 people as part of a human sacrifice. The information on the electronic device says following the killings, the senior church members would flee the island via an ark. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 6 and read the conclusion of this. Ephesians chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 10 through 20.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Adonai and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
So if we were wrestling against another man, we can see what's coming. But because we're wrestling against spiritual wickedness, you can't see when spirits are moving amongst people. What we have to do is watch the person and see when the demeanor changes, when the action changes. Judge ourselves to see when our action change, when our demeanor change. Hey man, sometimes you've got a feeling and somebody come to you, you might just say, look, brother, right now I'm not in the right place right now. Mm-hmm. Just give me some time or some space. And don't take it personal. At least that demon jump out on you. But we have to understand when something's come over us and be like, look. You walk in the house, say, look, babe, kids, I'm going through something right now. Just give me a minute to get myself together. We got to be consciously aware all times of ourselves first and foremost, and then the people around us. Go ahead.
Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand.
The whole armor. So for the people who want to walk 1 foot in the word and 1 foot out the word, there's no way in hell you can put on the whole armor. Mm-hmm. That's like it's raining outside and you stand halfway in the door and halfway out.
Of a half umbrella.
I ain't buying no half umbrella, brother. You couldn't even sell that to me. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim.
Now, you know, at the end of verse 16, it says, all the fiery darts of the wicked. That means they throwing stuff at you. Mm-hmm. It's throwing stuff at you. Okay? Go ahead.
Praying always with all prayer and supplications in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak.
As I ought to speak. And as you ought to speak, you'll be guided through the words that's in this book. We're all being programmed in one way or another. Whether it's by what we watch on television programming, or television program, mm-hmm. What movies we watch, what music we listen to, mm-hmm. What you watch on YouTube, like my brother was talking about earlier, the people that are around you. We're all being programmed one way or another. But are we being mindful of what type of programming we're taking in? That's what we have to look at. At the end of the day, even like the song said, go back to, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I'm fighting for my life. I am fighting for my life. We don't know what is around us 24/7. But we have to stay in our books. We have to fight to do what's righteous. Not what's right, because what's right to you might not be what's right in Yahweh's sight, mm-hmm. or what's right to somebody else. We have to fight to do what's righteous. And by fighting, that's the only way we can continue to overcome this high demonic presence that's around. Because as one person's body is used up, that spirit is looking somewhere else to dwell.
You know, you just said something, and I remember something in the scriptures where it says, there's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is death.
Exactly. So, guard yourselves, Israel. Like we just read, put on the whole armor. As Lucifer is on a rampage, his minions need somewhere to go. We just read about the brother jumping around on the balcony saying he killed the bee. He's dead. That spirit needs somewhere else to go. So let's all pray for one another, for guidance and protection always. That's all we're going to do for today. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.